Hello everyone, you're warmly welcome to the Style Made Simple by Dressens channel, your one-stop fashion hub for sewing tutorials, how to learn cutting your outfits without patterns, and also how to assemble them in a very professional manner, because that's also important. Now the SMS by Dressens channel is also a lifestyle and fashion tidbit channel. Now, before I continue, I'd like to thank the small community of subscribers who have kept faith with me, have subscribed and watched my videos regularly. And for you who is just discovering me through this video, I also appreciate you. But let's take this friendship further. So I'll encourage you to kindly press the subscription button and also press the notification button so you get to see what I'm up to when my videos are uploaded. Thank you once again. So, like I said, the channel being a lifestyle and fashion tidbit channel, today we are not doing anything tutorials. Today I'm going to have a little discussion on an interesting topic, which is figure types, and it's really important to us ladies. Now, figure types, in a layman's definition, or a very simple definition, will be your height, bust, waist measurements combined, your figure or your shape. When your height, your bust, your waist and your hip measurements are combined, the way you present, the way you look, that's your figure type. As women, we come in varieties. Different shapes, different sizes. We hear variety is the spice of life. So all well and good. Some are big, some are slim, some are tall, some are short and all that. But it comes with the measurements also. So the figure types have been grouped into 4 main types, and that's what I'm going to have a brief discussion on. Now let's look at the first figure, which is the spoon-shaped figure or the pear-shaped figure. Now, the spoon-shaped figure or pear-shaped figure is usually very hippie. They are broad at the hips but narrow at the top. That's why they came by the description pear-shaped. They usually have a very medium-sized bust, a fairly medium-sized waist, but then the waist broadens out onto a wide area of the hip. So they are categorized as the pear-shaped or the spoon-shaped figures. And then we have a second grouping, which is the hourglass figure. Now this hourglass figure is perceived to be the perfect group because they seem to have a perfect figure working for them. They usually have a full-size bust, not too busty, not too hippie. But what works for this group is their slender waistline. So it gives them a very contoured shape. You can really see the well-defined shape. The bust line is there, fairly full. The hip line is also very full. But because the waistline is very slender and very narrow, it gives them that hourglass shape, or what we call in our local parlance, guitar-shaped figure. Okay. Now let's look at the third group, which is the top hourglass figure. Now the top hourglass figure is the reverse of the pear-shaped figure. The top hourglass figure is usually very broad at the chest area, but they have a less proportionate waist and hip line. They are usually smaller downwards. The waist and the hip line tend to be a bit narrow, so they are wide at the top. So that's how come they also have the top hourglass name. The last group we're going to be looking at will be the apple-shaped figure. Now with the apple-shaped figure, they usually have the bust, waist and hip measurements almost the same. If there's any difference in the measurements, it's usually just a couple of inches difference. They have A bust size, they're usually thick. They have a bust line, and then a waistline and a hip line. There's no clear-cut defined waistline, so that's the apple shape for you. Have you found your grouping where you belong? Pear shape, hourglass shape, top hourglass shape, or pear shape, or apple shape, sorry. If you still haven't found your groupings, I don't know, you definitely have to belong somewhere. It could be that you are a hybrid of any of the two groupings, a cross between or a pairing between any of the two groupings, okay? So having explained that, I think a clear understanding of your body size, its shape and proportions is the key to learning how to dress well, because once you understand your body, you get to know what works for you and doesn't work for you. So now that you know your body type, you should appreciate your body, whatever body type you have. And we all have things on our body we wish we could have changed. Maybe you wanted a fuller bust line, maybe you wanted a narrower waist or a broader hip. And we could all do with a little makeover, but that's not possible. You make do with what you have, and you project that body confidently by how you carry yourself, how you take care of yourself, and how you project. That's very important. A good diet is key, and then exercise is also very important. As for the diet, I don't want to go into that. The diet and the exercise, I'll leave it to the dietitians and the fitness coaches. But simple, general rules: eat well, eat healthy, exercise, avoid late night binging and all that. So if we can just stick to these general rules, I mean, I think we'd all be fine. Having said that, we know our body type, we are taking care of our body, we want to dress up the body now. The key thing for dressing well or projecting yourself well in your dresses is also based on your foundation garments, what you wear underneath the outer garments. It's not just the outer garments. For the outer garments to sit well on the body, something must have been done underneath. And so the foundation garments or the inner garments are as important as the outer garments, okay? Now, the three most important ones, since we are talking about bust, waist, and hip, the three most important ones will be, first of all, your bra. A good bra is a treasure and a must. A good bra will allow the breast to sit comfortably on the chest, roomy enough to accommodate the breast, and also give a slight lift to the bust area, so you know the body pops out well. When we get to the waistline, then we can talk about corsets, waist trainers, etc. The corsets I know are killers. Corsets, if it works for you, if you are able to accommodate them and able to wear them comfortably, then there's no problem. The corset trims in or holds in the excess fats at the sides, the six-pack that we tend to develop at the sides. The corset trims that in. The corset takes care of the protrusion of the belly in front. And so when it has held the tummy in and trimmed the bulges, the bulging sides, and then you are able to wear all those clingy outfits and things that define your body, that brings out your body contour. When you've taken care of your tummy with the corset, then you'll be confident enough to wear all those body hugging outfits. The last thing I would want to talk about when it comes to the foundation garment would be what we call the hip pads. They are in vogue now, especially with the young girls. A little pad around the hip area to give width. Now these padded stuff, the bra and the hip pad should be used in moderation or should be used sensibly. If your bust 36 or 38, there's no reason to go use a padded bladder to project your bust from, let's say, 38 to 42. That's a bit extreme. Just add something that will add a little bit of rise to your chest is fine. You want to use a padded a hip pad, you should use something that will just moderately increase the width. It will be very dramatic if your hip is, let's say, 40 and you use a hip pad that will project your hip to 45. I mean, then everybody knows that this is fake. So that's the whole thing about foundation garments. They help. Some people would ask, are they really necessary? Well, it's a matter of choice. If you are comfortable with it, why not? Because the argument can be made that foundation garments are used just as we use makeup to enhance our beauty. We use Peruvian hair, Brazilian hair, Mongolian hair, and we wear it with so much confidence and with attitude. We all know it is fake, but we enjoy wearing them because it makes us look beautiful and it gives us confidence. So I believe the foundation garments do pretty much the same. So like I said, it's a matter of choice. If you want to use foundation garments, it's okay, but just use it sensibly. So now that we know the foundation garments, figure types and all that, let's go back to see what works for which figure, since we've now prepped the body with the appropriate foundation garment. So let's go back to where we started from. So we are going to look at the pear-shaped figure because that's where we started from. Now, since this figure is very hippie downwards, what you want to do, the whole idea is to try and balance the figure. So you want to create width upwards because this figure has a lot of width around the hip area and narrow at the top. So you want to create a little width at the top to balance. So you can do a lot of fancy details on the chest area. Your frills, your flounces are allowed, your full sleeves, a lot of fullness in the sleeves is also allowed. Your puff sleeves, your leg of mutton sleeves are allowed because they give a lot of width upwards. So you divert the attention from the hip area towards the bust area. So then you kind of balance the figure. You understand? So for the hippie figure, avoid any kind of fullness around the hip area. Gathered skirts, especially pleated skirts, is a no-go area for the pear-shaped figure because they're already wide at the hip area. So you don't want to add extra bulk there. You want to keep it trim. So if there's any fussiness or any fullness you want to add up to the outfit, it should be upwards. So then you balance out the figure. Now let's look at the perfect figure. That's the hourglass figure. They tend to get away with almost everything because of the nature of their shape. Anything goes. They look good in almost everything. However, there are a few exceptions. For instance, if you are an hourglass figure but very tall, you want to avoid wearing anything too short, anything mini. Because what happens is that because, yes, the figure is perfect, but because you are tall, when you wear mini skirts, what happens is that you kind of, you are all legs. You know, you are all legs and you kind of look gawky. And so you don't want to do too much short skirts. And then for tall hourglass figures, crop tops don't sit too well on you. Make sure your tops cross your midriff or your waistline. So there's a kind of balancing. If you can find where the balance is, that's fine. Now, still on the hourglass figure, if you're an hourglass figure but you are petite, that also counts with a few do's and don'ts. If you are petite or small sized, You want to keep the details on your outfit scaled down. Because you're petite, you don't want to avoid wide lapels, big patch pockets, extravagant sleeves, extraordinary sleeves, and all that. Make sure you scale everything down to your size. Because you're petite, go for smaller lapels, sizable pockets, and all that. You don't want to do something too extraordinary. Scale it down. So if you can find that balance between these two, that's fine. Like I said, you can virtually get away with wearing almost anything. So now let's go to the top hourglass figure. Now this figure, like I said, is broad at the top. So what you want to do is to balance, project the bottom to shoot out and meet up with the top. So you have a figure that is broad at the chest but narrow at the waist and narrow at the hip area. So because you want to project, this is where you introduce your fullness. When I talk about fullness, I'm talking about anything that adds bulk and width to a particular area. So I'm talking about gathers, I'm talking about pleats, I'm talking about flares and all that. So for the top hourglass figure, these work very well at the bottom. It adds width from the waistline down. If it's something pleated downwards, it's fine. Something gathered downwards, it's fine. Something flared downwards, it's also all the better. So it's all about balancing. Now you want to avoid anything fussy up here because you're already wide here, so you don't want to do anything. Keep everything simple at the top. Scoop necklines are very good for these figures because they are thick up here. V necklines are also good. Raglan sleeves are also good. Apart from that, keep your sleeve classy and simple. Usually shirt sleeves. If you want to do any fancy details, it should be something little, not too catchy, because you want to draw attention from the bust, but rather divert the attention to the bottom area. So that's it for the top hourglass figure. Now let's look at the last group, which is the apple-shaped figure. Now, like I said, I don't want to call it problem, but the issue is that they usually do not have a defined waistline. So what you have to do most of the time is to create an imaginary waistline by trimming in the body into the waist and then shooting out from the waist. So waist joint styles work very well for the apple-shaped figure. Peplums with gathers, with flares and pleats also work well. But with this figure, however, you have to use the fullness in moderation. Not too much gathers, not too much pleats, not too much flare. The flare should be soft flare. The gathers should be soft. That means not too much. The pleats should not be too much fabric being pleated. Otherwise, it also creates, it kind of makes the whole thing look funny. So yes, they also, the fullness also works with them, but with this particular group, this fullness has to be used cautiously. It has to be used in moderation. What you want to do is, what happens is that vertical style lines or vertical designing works for this figure because they are like round. So you want to elongate the figure a bit. So you do vertical lines, your princess lines, your panels, your god, your goddess. These are styles that work well for the apple-shaped figure. And then you can add flounces at the hem of their skirts or the dresses. The whole idea is to, because the figure is kind of straight, you just want going downwards, you want it to just project out a little bit. So these are just little tricks we can employ to also enhance our choice of style or our decision to sew style A or style B. However, instinctively, we all kind of know what suits us best. Like I said, these are not hard and fast rules. We all, generally speaking, we know what works well for us. The only thing is to add these little tidbits to come out with better styles that will project you well, because the idea is to hide your flaws and project your assets. So where there's a flaw, you do things that will cover up the flaws, and the ones you consider to be assets, you project it. So that's it. There's only one you, and you are that you, and you are the best person to, or you are the best brand ambassador for yourself. You just have to project yourself well, whatever body type you have, all well and good. And so, like I said, this is just a quick conversation or discussion, bringing out a few tidbits that could be useful to all of us. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hoping to see you soon in the next one. Thanks, much love to all of you. Bye.